Welcome to Growing Younger Health and Fitness podcast designed for people over 40. What changes I have noticed in my gym training since I turned 40. So in this podcast, I'm going to talk a little bit about my own experience with gym training, strength training since I turned 40. So my name is Alex Blazewski. I'm the physio from Growing Younger, and I've actually turned 43 yesterday, and I wanted to kind of do a bit of a podcast today on the topic of my personal experience, because people say that since after you turn 40, it's kind of all downhill from there, and it's your body is not quite the same. The training intensity is not quite the same. So I wanted just to share my own experience to kind of give you an idea of what I'm actually experiencing. I've actually started strength training from a very early age. I probably started doing my first weight training sessions when I was probably as young as 14. So, I've it's pretty much the whole lifetime of strength training. I can compare myself now at 43 to when I was in my teens and then also in my 20s, and overall, I could honestly say that I'm pretty pleased where I am now with my strength training. So, if you told me in my 20s that I was still able to lift quite a good amount of weight. I can bench press. I can squat a pretty good weight. I think I'd be pleased in my 20s if I knew what level of strength I'd be at the age of 43. So let's just break it down a little bit more. And what changes have I actually noticed since turning about 40? So as I said, overall strength, pretty happy. In fact, I could probably say I'm a bit stronger now than I was in my mid 20s, and part of that reason could be just that the fact that I'm actually training more consistently now. Okay, so I'm a little bit more organized. How frequent I attend the gym sessions. So on that aspect, I'm pretty happy. Now, one thing that I have to mention is that the little niggles or the little injuries are becoming a little bit more frequent. So I've just recently recovered from a bit of a shoulder pain that I've had for probably a good 2 or 3 months. It didn't stop me training, but I had to kind of take it a little bit easier on the upper body for a while, okay? And these things are becoming a little bit more, definitely becoming more frequent. You might notice a little bit of a back niggle, a shoulder, a knee might be a little bit sore, and it takes a little bit longer to recover as well, okay? So that's another thing that I have noticed, is that when you do get a niggle, and you look, without a doubt, sooner or later, if you are doing some serious strength training, sooner or later you probably will get some kind of injury, okay? It may not be anything serious, but sooner or later you will get some kind of niggle. So it actually takes longer for you to recover from this, okay? So like, as I said just now, so it wasn't anything serious, but it still took me probably about 10 weeks to fully recover from this shoulder little niggle that I got. So in my 20s, these injuries were a lot less frequent, and if I did have some kind of pain, usually within 1 or maximum 2 weeks, I'd be back on track again. So it's just something you have to be aware of. I've also noticed that when I usually, when you strength train, you usually do sets, like a few sets, let's say 3 or 4 sets. Now I feel like I need more time to recover in between sets, okay? So generally speaking, the reason why you need breaks in between sets is that you want the fuel in your muscles to recover, okay? So generally speaking, when you strength train, you use primarily your glycogen in your muscles, which is kind of like a derivative of sugar in your muscles as an energy source, okay? So when you do a set of exercise, you pretty much deplete that glycogen, and so it takes from the research that I've read, it takes about 60 seconds for the glycogen to recover. Okay, so I've noticed that over the last couple of decades, I need longer breaks in between sets so that I can max myself again on the next set. Okay, so it's a little change, but I definitely can tell that's one of the things that have that I've noticed. Okay, so before I could maybe get away with like a 40-second break in between sets, whereas now it might be even up to a minute and a half that I need to really properly give another go and have another set. So that's the break between sets. The other change is that the length of my gym session in the gym. So again, in my 20s, if I go back that far, I could easily do like an hour and a half. I used to like enjoy just really, some people say smashing my body. Whereas now I would say I get to about 45 minutes, even like an hour. And I know that I feel like I almost had enough. I feel like I want to stop. All right. Now, sometimes I do push myself to go past that. But that is definitely some change that I've noticed in the way I guess my body behaves and when it tells me to stop is actually, I guess that you could say that it's a bit of fatigue that sets in a bit quicker. So one thing to mention as well, and I'm not promoting, I'm not suggesting any supplements. I'm not either pro or against it. But what I have found useful for myself, and this does help to manage this aspect of fatigue, I do take creatine, and I do find it useful because it makes me go for a bit longer. So, each set I can maybe do a couple of extra reps. I also notice when I take creatine, my gym session can also last for a bit longer as well. So I can tolerate a longer workout. Okay, now again, I'm not, talk to your doctor, talk to your dietitian if you want to know about supplements. I'm not promoting it, but it's just my own personal experience. Now, another thing that I've actually come across, at one point a couple of years ago, I started to notice that after some of my big gym workouts, I started to get headaches, particularly the following day. And for a while, I couldn't quite figure out what was causing it. I went to the doctor, they couldn't figure it out, so I just I put up with it, essentially, for quite a long period of time. Now, recently, I've made a bit of a discovery. So what I actually have noticed is that I thought to myself, I'm probably not drinking enough water after a gym workout, because when you do a gym workout, obviously you sweat more, your body loses more fluid. So I kind of thought about it, and I thought, okay, maybe I'm not drinking enough water. So I made a conscious effort of drinking I tried to drink 3 or 4 glasses of water within a couple of hours after a workout, okay? Just to make sure that I replenish all the lost fluids that I lost during the gym session. And what I've noticed is that my headaches have pretty much disappeared. So clearly that is not something that I come across when I was in my 20s and my 30s. So what it tells me is my body has become less tolerant to dehydration as I'm getting older. Okay, so yeah, again, my personal experience, I'm not sure if this is something that other people experience as well, but yeah, certainly was an experience for me. And one last thing I want to mention, one more change that I want to talk about that I've noticed over the last decade or two is the need for sleep. Okay, so we all know that to get the maximum benefit, particularly from strength training, you need good recovery, good rest, sleep, especially after your workouts. But I have noticed even more so after I turned 40. I just feel that my body wants to, my body wants to go to sleep earlier that night after a workout, and also it definitely needs the 8 hours. Okay, so I can get away with 6.5, 7 hours some other nights, but the nights after I do a good workout in the gym, I definitely need my 8 hours. If I don't get the 8 hours, I can definitely feel like I'm not at my 100% the following day. Okay, and I feel like I'm just tired, I'm lethargic, I'm just not myself if I don't get 8 hours of sleep after a workout, gym workout. So that kind of summarizes my all the changes that I've noticed in my body that relate to strength training after the age of 40. I think overall, if I had to like summarize in a very quick statement, I think I'm generally pretty happy with the way I'm going, despite turning 40. I'm all these little changes that I've just described, I think that they're certainly the things that you can manage, and I'm happy to manage them. Overall, my strength is holding up. My training intensity is good. Like, I don't think it's any worse than it was in my 20s. Again, maybe partly because I'm training more consistently. I'm probably putting a little bit more brain power in planning into how I train. But overall, pretty good, pretty happy. Yeah, cool. Hopefully that sort of helps you guys as well. Maybe clarifies a few things. And I will speak to you on the next podcast.
Okay, guys, so I hope you found the podcast of value. If you did and you're struggling with your own health and fitness journey, there's a link in the description for a free discovery call with me. And that free discovery call, we're going to cover off a little bit about you, your history, your goals, what you want to achieve, and maybe we can help you or not with your own health and fitness goal. So if that does sound like something that you'd like to do, then click on the link in the description, and I look forward to chatting to you in the very near future. Have a good day, guys. Bye-bye.